What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video. If you guys like the video, give a big thumbs up. Your YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Because I release great DC Comics content every day that you don't want to miss. Now guys, today I'm going to explain Dark Knight's Mail #2. Now guys, the last issue was really dope. Like the middle was a little sluggish, but most of it was really cool, especially that cliffhanger. And guys, I'm going to pretty much do like a recap of the first issue before we go into this one. So there's some important developments that happened last issue that you need to know diving into issue #2. Now, certain things was, so Batman and Hawkman were going for the same thing, right? So there's this whole concept of the Dark Multiverse. Now guys, the Dark Multiverse is pretty much like the nightmares of everyone. Like think of like the greatest nightmares of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And that's a whole separate multiverse. So if that came into DC Universe, it would pretty much destroy everything. And that's what Batman was trying to prevent. Where Hawkman was trying to just figure it out because his whole life was based upon nth metal. And throughout this whole series, we're trying to figure out what that is, how powerful it is. And Hawkman went on this whole journey, meet up with different people in the past, went after different artifacts, and finally found a portal into the Dark Multiverse, but then he went missing. No one knows where he went at all. So then we have Batman the present day, keeping secrets from everyone, and he's going to all these heroes, getting certain artifacts, and then finally he got Duke and Hal to pretty much make like to see the darkness. Like he finally thought he like unraveled the mystery, but all he saw was darkness. He thought, okay, this led me to nowhere. When actually it was the next step into releasing the Dark Knights, the evil Batman, and Barbados, the main villain of the series, into the DC Universe. Now in the first issue, what we saw was Batman the Justice League. There's like a Challenger's Mountain, a big mountain just erupted in Gotham City. And they're like, what the heck is this? They investigate, found Hawkgirl in the Blackhawks, well more like Condra Saunders, not actually her in her Hawkgirl costume, but they found her and then they went back to this island. She started explaining about it, and then Red Tornado, who we haven't seen in a while in DC Comics, just woke up, and he was like, he opened the door, he started shouting, started attacking the Justice League, and we know that Batman did that when he like looked into the darkness. Now, Batman in all this panic stole a thing, like a little piece of nth metal to investigate and look at the evidence, and he got away on a dinosaur. Now, he made it back to Wayne Manor, and he's with Alfred, and Alfred's like, he's like, are you sure you should be doing this? Is this too dangerous? And Bat's like, it's fine, I'm figuring this out. And that's when they heard like a sound upstairs. Now, this is where it gets good, guys. Batman went upstairs, right? And he found the Journal Carter Hall, which throughout this, so far in the series, we saw Hawkman pretty much telling his journey with nth metal before he went missing. And Batman finds this and he's like, it's all true, all the stuff I've been going after, the Dark Multiverse, is actually true. And that's when Dreamer of the Endless, the guy from the Sandman comics, Neil Gaiman's Sandman, comes out of the shadows and he's like, yes, it is true, Batman, and the nightmares have just begun. Now, to explain a little about Sandman, or just Dreamer, there's pretty much 7 different endless, death, there's all sort of desire, and it's based upon our emotions, right? But pretty much Dreamer, he goes into people's dreams, and he actually fought off against different villains of DC Universe in his Sandman comic. Like the very first one he went against was Dr. Destiny. And guys, you all remember, if you read that comic by Neil Gaiman, which is a really amazing comic, but if you guys remember in that one issue where freaking Dr. Destiny manipulates all these people and has them kill each other, it's a dark comic, and it shows pretty much the Dreamer trying to get his power back, because he was pretty much in prison and he finally got out and he tried to become all powerful, went against Lucifer, different supernatural beings. Now, it's a great series and all, but having him come into the DC Universe, like, pretty much officially in the Dark Knight's Metal series is big, because that pretty much opens up all these can of worms. Like, opens up all this stuff, like supernatural beings, to come and go against the Justice League and all these heroes. But sadly, in issue #2, that's not really expanded upon. Actually, in the series, it's not as much. It more gets expanded on in the new Sandman universe, which is great, but I'm not going to be explaining that in this Dark Knight series. But all we see in issue #2 is there's only one panel of Dreamer of the Endless, so that was kind of disappointing, but we come back to him more in issue #4. But guys, before we dive into the issue, I know it's a lot of recap, but before we dive into the issue, one more thing I gotta explain is that Barbados, the main villain of the story, he did not notice the Positive Matter universe by himself. Like, his whole plan is to pretty much go through the Positive Matter universe, which is the DC universe, and engulf it in the Dark Multiverse and destroy it in a way, pretty much make it his new home. But he figured out the positive matter universe by Batman. Way back in Final Crisis, guys, when Batman went against Darkseid and stuff. Awesome storyline. When he fought against Darkseid, shot his Omega beams and sent Batman to like the dawn of time, pretty much the beginning of time. Barbados saw him. He was like, I don't recognize it, and Barbados went on a search and finally figured out there's actually a positive matter universe. There's a DC universe, and that's when he went on a big plan to pretty much find a way to get to this DC universe and engulf in the dark multiverse. Now, over time, there was different people who went on cults and started praising Barbados and carrying out this plan. Now, we find out more about this in this issue, so it's a really interesting story. So guys, enough with this intro, let's get to Dark Knight's Mail number 2. So guys, Dark Knight's Mail number 2, first off, we have this dope cover right there. We see Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman pretty much fighting out the forces of the Dark Multiverse. It's pretty much his hands though. Still awesome art by Greg Capullo, and again, it's shiny cover. It's a shiny cover, which I really like those. But guys, we go to the first page of this comic, and like I said, Batman stole a piece of Nymph mail, right? And he got away. So now, Superman and all the Justice League are going after him, because Batman has been holding secrets, and he pretty much is gone. And if Batman wanted to get away, he would be gone. Like, no one would be able to find him. So all these heroes are banding together to find him, say no, what he's doing is dangerous, and they need to stop him. They're like, we need to figure this out together. So we see Superman, it starts out, he's in space, and he's trying to hear Batman's heartbeat, but he can't find it. And that's when we see in Gorilla City, we see Green Arrow, and Green Arrow's going after Batman. He's like, I don't see him here. We see in the House of Mystery, we see Constantine and Zatanna. Guys, that's pretty cool. Like, they're looking for him, and Zatanna's like, oh yeah, he had a tracker, like, pretty much that resembled him in the wall, but it's not actually him. So pretty much Batman is like confusing all these heroes, putting different trackers that they think it's him, but it's not actually him. Now, in LexCorp, we see Blue Beetle going after Batman. Well, he doesn't find him. Then we see Superman, it's like, hey, maybe he's in the Amazon rainforest. And we see all Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Hal Jordan, and Damian Wayne going after these different Batman. They're like multiple of them, which we don't know which one is the real one. And they're on these motorcycles going through the Amazon rainforest. And we see Damian in like this big tank-like thing. He's like, Wonder Woman, get him. And he's pretty much like tying smack to Wonder Woman. Like, you're not getting him, like, you're doing a bad job. Now, we see them going after him, and then we see this dope double-page splash page, which is pretty much just telling who wrote this, Scott Snyder, awesome writer, and pretty much Greg Capullo drawn all the characters. Like, he drew it, and guys, his art in this really conveys it very well. But after that, we continue the story, and we see Hawkman come out of the water, and he goes to take down this next Batman. He thinks he got him, but it's just another, just like clone Batman. So he failed on that. Now we see Flash take down multiple Batmans and wrap them up in a rope. So then finally, we're at the final Batman. This is the last one. So all these heroes are around him, and they're like, oh, we got him. Like, this is easy. And Flash is like, you can't get out of here now, Batman. And then it turns out it's actually Nightwing. And guys, I'll say this again, to just clarify. Pretty much Scott Snyder's run is very cohesive. Like, he always brings everything together, even if he goes to new series. Like, it all comes together in the end. And guys, way back in Batman #1, the New 52 run with Scott Snyder, you had like the opening scene, saw Batman teaming up with the Joker to fight off all these different villains in Arkham Asylum. Now, you thought it was the Joker. Turns out it was Nightwing using a hologram device to look like the Joker, and right here he does the same thing. So he used the hologram device to look like Batman here, and then he pulls out a flower, and it pretty much translates to the terrible green beatdown. Guys, all the heroes freak out. Like, everybody freaks out. Cyborg's like, we gotta get out of here. Wonder Woman's like, oh no, this ain't good. And that's from the Parliament of Trees, which they pretty much come out, and there's Swamp Thing, guys, the protector of the green. You guys, to explain Swamp Thing really quickly, is that pretty much Alan Moore, he explained his Swamp Thing comic in the 80s, one of the famous runs that had Swamp Thing in it, and he pretty much showed that there are many Swamp Things before Alec Holland, the more popular one. And the Parliament of Trees are pretty much all plant life around the world, and every generation they choose like a new protector. So they choose a human being, they pretty much engulf them in plant, and they become Swamp Thing. So Alec Holland is the one of this generation and the one in the DC universe. So we have Swamp Thing, and he's protecting the Parliament of Trees and beating down these pretty much heroes. Just beat him up and pretty much buying Batman time. Now that's when Superman's like, wait a minute, and he goes to the back of Damian's tank, and he's like, oh, I know where Batman is, and he finds Batman in there. Now you think it's Batman first, but we'll get to that soon. But they're talking, Superman's like, why are you doing this, Batman? Why are you keeping secrets? I know you're worried, and I can hear your heartbeat, but please just tell me, explain to me what's going on. And that's when Batman tells him. He pretty much explains what's been happening, and he tells Superman, I'm a little afraid that what I've been doing all this time is going to lead to something bad. So he explains that way back at the beginning of Scott Snyder's run, in the first story arc, The Court of Owls, when he got stuck in that labyrinth, that when he drank that water, that because he's very drenched, he was unhydrated, and he's almost about to die, and he drank that to survive, was actually one of the metals. So there's 5 metals, guys. The first one is Electrum. So that was his first encounter with that. Then at the end of the Endgame arc, when he fought against Joker, and he almost died, like Joker was killed and both of them almost died, he used Dionysium. And guys, like I've been saying in the previous parts of the storyline, Dionysium is this pretty much metal and substance that if taken can pretty much make anybody immortal, but it has to be pure. So the more pure it is, the more immortal you get. So with Vandal Savage, when he found the most purest form of Dionysium, he pretty much became immortal all the time. Where Joker and Batman, when they took the Dionysium, is very old, not very pure, so they pretty much just made him immortal for a little bit and brought him back to life. And guys, in Dark Days of Casting, when Joker thought he died and fell into the cave, he got exposed to Dionysium too, so he was healed. Same with Batman here. So Batman has encountered Electrum and Dionysium. Now, after the Endgame arc, when he was trying to get his memory back and become Batman again, he was exposed to Promethium. And guys, that's the 3rd one. Now, the 4th one was in Dark Days of Casting, when he had Duke and Hal Jordan put all the artifacts he's been getting and collecting together with the Dagger of Shazam, and he finally looked into the darkness. So then he was exposed to Nymph Metal. So he's been exposed to 4 of the 5 metals, and what Batman's afraid of, if there's a 5th metal out there, if he's exposed to it, he'll finally become like that gateway, so then that he'll be replaced with Barbados. So he'll be like the cause that lets the Dark Multiverse into the DC universe, and that's bad, so he's afraid of that. And as they're talking, Superman's buying into it, and Batman's like, it's already here, already in Metropolis, pretty much the cult of Barbados. They're pretty much preparing for this. And Superman, Wonder Woman comes, she's like, oh, what's going on? And Superman's like, wait a minute, and then he pretty much punches a hole right through Superman. Like, guys, that's crazy. When I first read this, I'm like, what the heck? And I remember, like a week before this comic came out, Scott Snyder posted like a picture of this, and it was like uncolored and stuff, and everybody was commenting like, Superman kills Batman, what? And it turns out it's not actually Batman, it's Clayface. And Wonder Woman at first, she had the same reaction. She's like, what the heck, Superman? Then she's like, oh, okay. Batman was just buying time. He was lying to us again. And Superman's like, we have to find him. Batman is afraid, and he's getting to dangerous territory. Now we shift to pretty much the ends of the earth, and it's where the Legion of Doom are. And we see Vandal Savage with a bunch of villains, and that's when Hawkgirl comes in. And she talks to Arcandra Saunders. I'm just gonna say Hawkgirl. But Hawkgirl walks in, and she's like, hey, this is getting very desperate times. We have to stop Barbados. He's getting close. And Vandal Savage's like, I agree, but we're gonna have to use any means necessary to beat him. Now, then we shift to the Valley of Kings, which is the tomb of Prince Khufu, which that's presumably what it is here. But this is where Hawkman was, and Batman's there, and this is when we see the Dreamer of the Endless, and the Dreamer of the Endless is like, Batman, what you're doing, your plan is not gonna work. It's gonna lead to bad things. And that's the only appearance of him in this issue. So after that big cliffhanger last issue, I was really excited going into this issue of Sea Dreamer, but he barely shows up. So that's a little disappointing, but we'll see him more as the series goes on. Now, Batman's explaining, and he's saying, hey, my whole plan is I'm going to use pretty much the mace of Hawkman, which is in this Valley of Kings, this whole place, this area that he's in. And he's like, I'm going to use it because he believes that Barbados was in the DC universe. He walked the earth at one time. And Hawkman used his mace to pretty much banish him back to the Dark Multiverse. So Batman's like, if I can do the same thing, I can save the DC universe. He he doesn't say DC Universe, he says he can save the multiverse. That's when Superman and Wonder Woman walk in, and they're like, Batman, what are you doing? He's like, I'm gonna use, and that's when he like pulls out Baby Darkseid, which this goes back to the Darkseid War, and how in the Darkseid War, Darkseid fought off against Anti-Mark, and Darkseid died. And then he came back as like a baby, he's growing up, but right now he's just a baby, babysitted by his daughter, Garel. But Batman stole this baby, so he kidnapped Baby Darkseid. And he's like, I'm gonna use this Baby Darkseid to create Omega Beams again and push me back to the beginning of time once again, just like Final Crisis. And I'm gonna bring this mace of Hawkman with me and destroy Barbados. So this is a very desperate plan, and it's very irrational, and that's not used to, like, we're not used to Batman being like this. We're used to Batman being planned for stuff and being ready to fight off stuff. But here, he's just coming up with plans that may not work. He's just like throwing stuff at the board. And guys, right here, one's like, Darkseid's really evil. What are you trying to do, Batman? It could cause more problems. You have to think about this. And Batman's like, I don't have time to think about it. And then that's when we realize, like, when they're talking, we find out this is a trap. This is actually not the Valley of Kings. This is not the place where Hawkman went. This is actually just a ruse. This is a place that the Core of Owls made so then Batman could come into it. And that's when pretty much Batman is hit by like just like a thing that the Core of Owls throw, and different members come out, and turns out the Core of Owls, way back, there's a separate group that pretty much branched off and came like pretty much the cult of Barbados in a way. And they've been trying to carry out Barbados' big plan, and they set all this in motion. All the way back to the Core of Owls story arc in Scott Snyder's run, they set all these pieces in motion and how Batman exposed to Electrum, Dionysium, Prometheum, and also Nithmel, and finally the last one, Batmanium. So they've been doing this all to pretty much expose Batman to this and pretty much release Dark Barbados into the universe. So Batman gets exposed to Batman, the final one. He gets pretty much turned into liquid and transported into the Dark Multiverse, and he's gone. So then, the Core of Owls, these three members, wait for something to come out of that portal. And that's when pretty much these zombie Robin of the Batman Who Laughs jumps out and just starts eating them alive. Like, they die. Like, it's pretty gruesome. And then we see Wonder Woman and Superman on the floor, like they're hopeless. And out of the portal comes Barbados and all his evil Batman. Guys, look at that. That's crazy. Like, you see Batman Who Laughs, who's one of my favorite characters now after this series. Like, he's dope. You see his evil Robin around him. You see the Batman that pretty much came Doomsday. You see the Batman who came like an evil Aquaman type. You saw the Batman who got like the Green Lantern ring and used it to evil effect. You see Red Death, which is pretty much like the Batman who took Flash's powers and became evil. Then we see the Batman who's kind of like a Wonder Woman version, but evil. And then finally, Barbados. Guys, Barbados is huge. Like, he looks evil. And Wonder Woman and Superman are just looking up at this, like, in awe. So on this final page, we pretty much finally see the power of Barbados. And it goes up to Superman, Wonder Woman, pretty much drains the life force out of them and almost kills them. And they go to sleep, and then we see Batman Who Laughs, and he says the final line in the comic. He's like, this is gonna be fun. So this is going to big events now. This is the big stuff. All the setup is over, and we're finally at the point where Barbados has reached the DC Universe. So guys, that's issue number 2. A lot of content in a 24-page comic, a lot, guys. So with that out of the way, let's get to my review of this issue. So guys, this is an awesome issue. Like, it pretty much went with the story even more, explained a lot more stuff. We saw Barbados show up, we saw the evil Batman. That one scene where Superman punched through Batman just had me shocked. Like, there's a lot of shocked moments that made sense though. It wasn't just like shock value. No, it was actually like, it shocks you, but then it goes through the story very well. And the art by Greg Apollo is just amazing. Like, he delivers and kills it in this issue. And Scott Snyder's just made it so cohesive and bring the story back to Core of Owls and his whole Batman run. It's just so cool, guys. So yeah, guys, this is one of the best issues of the Dark Knight's Metal series. Like that, yeah, the series does get better, but this one's like a pivotal point, and just like pretty much it goes from like setup to like the big stuff that we've been looking forward to. So yeah, guys, this issue, when I first read it, it got me super hyped, and I felt like the ending of this issue was better than issue number 1. So like, yeah, we saw Dream of the Endless, and that was cool, but seeing Barbados and the evil Batman finally get released, which is awesome. But if I'd have one complaint about this issue at the time, I was kind of disappointed that when they made that whole cliffhanger of having like pretty much Dream of the Endless come to the DC Universe, I was like, oh, what's gonna happen next? And then he shows up in like one panel. That was my only complaint. But but he does show up in issue number 4, and he's more bigger than that, and we'll get to that soon. But still, it's a little disappointing at the time when I read this issue. But yeah guys, this is an awesome issue. I'm overall going to give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely recommend it. Awesome. Great issue, and pretty much pushes the storyline even forward, and just shows that Scott Snyder knows how to pretty much make crazy stories and evolve Batman's character. But yeah guys, with the explain part and the review out of Dark Knight's Metal number 2, let's get to Dark Knight's Metal number 3.